So, dear students, you are welcome back for the drafting of a mortgage deed. We have already studied the 6 kinds of mortgages, and now we are going to draft a mortgage deed. So, beginning is to be made like this, that this deed of mortgage made on this first day of January 2017, this is the date of the deed. Now, name of the parties are to be drafted between X, son of Z, resident of flat number 906, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar, UP, hereinafter called as the mortgager of the one part. And second party is Y, son of S, resident of 52 Lajpat Nagar, New Delhi, hereinafter called as mortgagee of the other part. So first party is mortgager who is taking the loan, and second party is mortgagee who is the lender of money. Now the history of the deed starts with the words whereas. Whereas the mortgager is absolutely seized and possessed of, or otherwise well and sufficiently entitled to the house bearing flat number 906, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar, UP, more particularly described in the schedule hereunder written. And whereas the mortgager has requested the mortgagee to lend him a sum of rupees 50 lakh only, which the mortgagee has agreed to lend to the mortgager on the condition of mortgaging his property. So amount of loan is 50 lakh. Now this deed witnesses that this is now the operative part of the deed. Para number 1. In pursuance of the said agreement, and in consideration of a sum of rupees 50 lakh only, at or before the execution of these presents, paid by the mortgagee to the mortgager, the receipt whereof the mortgager do hereby admit and acknowledges, and of from the same hereby release and discharge the mortgagee. The mortgager hereby covenants with the mortgagee that he will pay on 31st day of December 2020. So the maximum limit of payment of money is 31st December 2020, whereas the money was advanced on 1/1/2017. Hereinafter called as the set date, that is the final date of payment, the sets sum of rupees 50 lakh with interest at the rate of 24% per annum from the date of these presents till the repayment of said sum in full. Every quarter of the first installment of interest to be paid on 31st March 2017, and each subsequent installment on the last day of June, September, December, and March of each succeeding year until the said sum is repaid in full. So the payment schedule is also there, that interest has to be paid on 31st March, 30th June, 30th September, and 31st December until the 50 lakh rupees along with interest are paid. And this deed further witnesses that in consideration aforesaid, that is 50 lakh rupees, the mortgager do hereby transfer by way of mortgage his house bearing flat number 906, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar, UP, and more particularly described in the schedule hereunder, are written as a security for repayment of said sum with interest at the rate of 24% per annum, with the condition that mortgager, his heirs, executors, administrators, or assigns shall, on the said date, pay to the mortgagee, his heirs, executors, administrators, or assigns the said sum of rupees 50 lakh together with interest thereon at the rate mentioned above. And the said mortgagee, his heirs, executors, administrator, or assigns shall at any time Thereafter, upon the request and at the cost of the mortgager, his heirs, executors, administrators, resigns, reconvey. I have highlighted the word reconvey. Reconvey the said house herein before expressed to be mortgaged unto or to the use of the mortgager, his heirs, executors, administrators, or assigns, or as he or they shall direct. So property is initially transferred to mortgagee, and on payment of entire loan and interest, the mortgagee will reconvey the property to the mortgager. And it is hereby agreed and declared that if the mortgager does not pay the said mortgage amount with interest, when shall become due and payable under these presents, the mortgagee shall be entitled to sell the said house. This is the condition of the mortgage, that if money is not paid by 31st December 2020, then mortgagee shall be entitled to sell the mortgage house through any competent court and to realize and receive the said mortgage amount and interest out of sale proceeds of the house. This is known as the right of equity of redemption. No, equity of redemption is the right of the mortgager. And if the mortgager does not pay, then mortgagee has right of equity of redemption by selling the house through court proceedings and realizing his principal and interest both. And it is further agreed and declared by the mortgager that during the period the mortgage amount is not paid and the said house remains as a security for the mortgage amount, the mortgager shall insure the said house. See, insurance of the house is also important. Suppose house is destroyed by fire. So there should be insurance company behind it to pay back. So it is a duty of the mortgager who shall insure the said house and take out an insurance policy in the joint names of mortgager and mortgagee and continue the said policy in full force and effect by paying premium, and in case of default by the mortgager to insure or to keep the insurance policy in full force and effect, the mortgagee can insure. Yes, if this right is given to mortgagee also. So mortgagee can insure the said house and the premium paid by the mortgagee shall be added to the mortgage amount if not paid by the mortgager on demand. Obviously, if mortgagee is paying premium to insurance company, that amount will be added in the mortgage money. And further, it is agreed that the mortgager can grant lease of the said house with the consent of mortgagee in writing. Well, after all, mortgager is the owner of the property. He can grant lease, but with the permission of with the consent of the mortgagee in writing. And it is further hereby agreed by the mortgager that he shall bear the stamp duty and registration charges. You see, stamp duty and registration charges are always a charge on the pocket of the person who is taking the loan, that is mortgager. So mortgager shall bear the stamp duty and registration charges and other out-of-pocket expenses for the execution and registration of this deed and reconveyance deed also. But however, each party will bear cost and professional charges of his solicitor or advocate. If both the parties have engaged their advocate, so advocate fees shall be paid by the respective parties, but the stamp duty, registration charges, and on payment of loan, reconveyance deed back in the name of mortgager, all expenses will be borne by mortgager. And you know that this transaction requires two witnesses also. So the last paragraph begins like this: in witness whereof, the parties have put their hands on the day and year first herein above written. Now the most important part of the deed is schedule of property mortgaged. What is mortgaged? The details are all that property 3 BHK flat area 2000 square feet, bearing number 906, situated at 9th floor, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar, UP, bounded and butted as under. The property which is mortgaged is flat number 906. उसके नॉर्थ में क्या है? फ्लैट नंबर 905 है. साउथ में क्या है? फ्लैट नंबर 904 है. वेस्टर्न साइड में क्या है? फ्लैट नंबर 907 है. ईस्टर्न साइड में क्या है? फ्लैट नंबर 910. टॉप साइड फ्लैट नंबर 1006 and down side flat number 806. All these flat numbers are not being mortgaged. 905, 904, 907, 910, 1006, 806. They are not going to be mortgaged. They are the surrounding boundaries which fixes the property to be mortgaged is flat number 906. Now the signature of mortgager X are required on this deed and signature of mortgagee Y are also required on this deed. Then signatures of two witnesses are also required. Witness number 1, his complete name and address says C, son of D, resident of flat number 510, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar, UP. Similarly, the signatures of witness number 2 are also required with complete name and address. Say your second witness is E, son of F, flat number 511, Designers Park, Sector 62, Noida, District Gautam Buddha Nagar. And dear students, as I told you in the earlier lecture while drafting of a sale deed, that photograph of both the parties are also to be affixed on this deed, that is mortgage deed. Their photocopy of the Aadhaar card is also to be made part of the deed. Their mobile number and email address likewise. Similarly, for witnesses also photograph their Aadhaar card photocopy as proof of their address and identity is also required. And that becomes a part of the deed. And one more item which I told you earlier also, that geotagged photograph of the property which is mortgaged is also to be made part of the mortgage deed. Geotagged photograph fixes the location of the property. So in future, there are no disputes with reference to location of the property. So that is the reason that we attach a geotagged photograph as part of sale deed and as a part of mortgage deed also. So dear students, this is how we have learned the drafting of a mortgage deed. So thank you very much for that.